Afternoon.
Good. And any, just want to see any more updates on Antoine and his knee and how things stand with that?
He's got a knee sprain. He'll be out a little while.
Little while, is it like multiple weeks?
Couple weeks, yeah.
And Bucky, it seemed like less concerned with his back. He's somebody that would be in play this week even?
It's tightened up. We got to see how we feel. If we can get it loosened up, he should be okay. If not, we'll see how the week goes.
You've obviously had to be resourceful, even at the linebacker position. Guys were talking about Levante yesterday. He's always been a leader, right? But he's still making plays. Just in addition to his playmaking at this stage of his career, what he means in terms of trying to keep those guys calm and in the moment.
His leadership, his intelligence, obviously he plays the way he talks, and he talks the talk, he walks the walk, and those guys, to be that old, playing 13 years in the league and then seeing guys 2 or 3 years in the league, shows them what they have to do going forward to remain in this league.
I think he had 25 snaps yesterday with only one inside linebacker on the field, just Levante in there. I know that's not by choice. Sorry, I'm going to make you laugh.
No, that's good.
What's the key to making that work, especially with injuries depleting what you have behind that guy?
Smoke and mirrors, smoke and mirrors. We have a couple packages that we're kind of unorthodox in that we've been practicing. The safeties do a good job filling in at linebacker. They had a very good tight end as well, so we had to cover them, and then we had to try and stop the run with that same package. And I thought between Izzy, Merriweather, Tyke, Tavier, they did a very good job covering up and making those plays. But when Bai came in, he played well as well.
You knew a lot about Tyke, obviously, before you drafted him, and he's had to work back from this knee injury. But just his flexibility and his ability to make plays on the ball. He hadn't had an interception since New Orleans. Just what he was able to do with having been out for 3 weeks.
Very good mental awareness. You know, the mental part is one thing you don't worry about with him, but you worry about the physical part and see how he would hold up. But once he got rolling, he was pretty good for us. He's one of the few guys over there with the mental capacity to see the game even when he's not practicing, and you know that takes a lot, especially for a rookie. So he plays it well, but Izzy had to learn a lot of spots. Tyke had to learn some spots, and Merriweather had to learn some different spots as well as Tavier. So it's good to have the versatility because we need it all.
You mentioned penalties a bit in the Panthers game, and then you mentioned a few more that happened against the Raiders. How do you think some of those are kind of cropping up a little bit towards the end of the season, and what goes into making sure that those are tight going forward?
We just got to focus and concentrate. Some things are inevitable that can happen. Some calls don't go your way. Sometimes you just have to make those plays anyway. But we can't false start. We can't jump off sides. We can't get penalties down the field defensively. And we can't shoot ourselves in the foot offensively. We got to keep focusing on that.
We'd seen KJ Britt was in a boot Friday, but then was just kind of walking on his normal Sunday. Would he be in play to return this week, or is that too much?
It's too early to tell, but if he hasn't run yet, I would venture to say he probably wouldn't.
I know in Carolina you guys got off to a slower start, and then this past week it was a very, very fast start, and then there was kind of that lull in the second and third quarter, and things picked up at the end there. What is going to be key for you guys being able to put 4 quarters together this week against the Chargers?
Just being consistent, being focused, and being consistent. You know, everything's on the line the last couple of games of the year. We know that. It's going to be a league-wide whirlwind tournament right now, so we got to put our best foot forward. We got to focus. We got to make sure we're locked in, and we can't make the mistakes that we made and expect to win every game. But we played perfect and lost, so we play not so perfect and win. I'm okay with that too.
What was key for you guys being able to kind of flip that switch yesterday? Because it's one thing to have that momentum and get it, but to have it, lose it, and get it back again, that's tough.
Just being in those situations in the first half of the season has helped a lot of guys out, especially a lot of guys that had to play early and were kind of young, playing for the first time. Right now, they've been in it before, they've practiced it a lot, they've seen it in games, so they're probably they have a little more composure right now than we did the first half of the season.
Todd, speaking of composure, the last couple of weeks, Baker's had a number of turnovers. It seems to be holding the ball a little longer at times, forcing a couple of throws. How concerned are you that either he's trying to do too much, or how do you rein that, walk that line between him being never giving up on plays, but then also knowing when the journey's over?
We got to understand, especially when we're in the red zone and we're in the scoring territory, we can't turn it over. That's number one. You don't like the turnovers, period. Every now and then they can happen, but we got to do a better job taking care of the football as an offensive staff, period, between the coaches and the players. We need to do a better job of focusing on exactly what we want to get done, how we need to get it done, and make sure we execute it every play. It's not just on Baker, it's on everybody.
Todd, you guys have had an unusual amount of Friday injuries. I think there are 2 more hamstrings that showed up on the injury report Friday. I know you guys track everything in terms of how much players are running and how much you have padded practices and non-padded practices. Is there anything you can point to for why you guys have had so many late in the week injuries that have put guys out on Sunday?
I wish I could tell you. We had the schedule last year. We're one of the healthiest teams in the league, and we had the exact same schedule. And this year, we got a lot of people injured doing that. So we're taking a look at everything. We're trying to find if there's a common denominator and things that we can do better on Friday. But we had the same schedule last year, and everybody was commending us for being one of the healthiest teams in the league. So it's really not much. As freak accidents happen in this game, and you just got to be ready.
You might have had the same schedule, but you had a different offensive coordinator. And I remember talking to Liam Cohen before the season saying the receivers, defensive back, those guys are going to have to be in tremendous shape because they're going to run a lot. We see all the motion that happens. It has to happen in practice. Could that be a factor that these guys, it seems that the majority, of course, you're using your legs, the hamstrings are defensive backs and wide receivers?
No, Friday is really a glorified walkthrough. You're talking about short yards, goal line, and red zone. You really only have one team, period, and we walk through on Wednesdays. So we got to get practice in, and we just got to make sure we're loose and run and make sure those things don't happen.
You had 11 guys 7 with hamstring injuries this year. All different positions, lots of receivers and DBs, but offensive linemen, defensive linemen. Is there anything you can point to for why hamstrings, whether it's the heat here, the way you do things, why that would be a vulnerability that's limited your health?
Can't point to anything right now. Like I said, we had one of the healthiest teams last year. We did a lot of running last year. We did more running last year than we're doing this year. So these things happen, and we got to make sure we keep an eye on it, and we got to make sure we try to see what the problem is. If there is a problem, and we'll try to act accordingly.
What's your theory behind victory Mondays, giving the guys a day off until Wednesday, even though it's obviously later in the year, recovery is probably important, but just in terms of still making mistakes, there's still things you can look at. How do you adjust the schedule so that these guys don't have to be here on Monday?
Once you get to 4 or 5 wins, it becomes more of a recovery thing anyway. And you start getting late games on the road and everything else. Monday's kind of a wash. It gives the coaches a chance to game plan a little bit more, gives the players a chance to rest and heal a little bit more. So we only practice on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday anyway, so it's really not much more going on than that.
Anything else? Okay,
Thanks,
Coach.
Appreciate it.